everyone. Happy Sunday. We are here. We are live. We are doing an experiment. As many of you are aware, we launched a new channel. Well, I set up the channel a couple of weeks ago, but the first content came out starting yesterday. We did our very first 24-hour stream featuring a new creator. And that creator joins me this evening. It is, in fact, for the second time ever, a return guest. It is the defender of the faithless, the high holy honcho of the humanist holler. It is the Kentuckiest of atheists. Welcome back, Joe.
Oh, thank you, and what's up, everybody? I'm glad to be back talking to Ember again. I think it's super cool you did that, and I'm honored that I got to be the guinea pig for the new channel.
Yeah, it's a little chaotic because we're here on my channel as per usual, and we're also streaming to the new channel, the Association of Skeptics and Humanists, Ash, because Ember Ash. I love my wordplay. So we're live on both those channels at the same time, and we're also live on the 24-hour live stream. So we're technically live twice on the same channel, but there's background. I wanted this to be available as a standalone broadcast on that channel, and the 24-hour live stream, YouTube unfortunately only keeps the first 12 hours. So even though it's broadcasting, it won't be saved when the stream wraps at the conclusion of this show. So, but if anybody else wants to come play, I have big plans for that channel. 24-hour live streams featuring a creator that people might not know is just the beginning. So if you're interested in a little community building that will also direct more people to your channel and all the other cool channels that we know about, we're doing a thing. So let me know. But enough preamble. Joe, how the hell are you?
Well, I mean, I'm doing pretty good. I've been sick all weekend, so there's that. But otherwise, I mean, things are actually going better than they have in a little while. So I'm not going to complain too much.
Well, there's pluses and minuses to everything. Getting sick sucks, though. Weather changes. Is it autumn down there yet?
Well, that's kind of what's going on. We're having like 75 degrees during the day and 35 degrees at night. And yeah, so the weather's getting me.
Yeah.
Plus
Yeah, it's like that here too.
My youngest this is his first year of school, so like he's bringing all the germs home with him, and yeah, so it's been an adventure.
Yeah, kids are disease farms.
Yeah,
they're lucky they're adorable. Sometimes they're adorable.
Yeah, you don't want to call them gross, but maybe.
They're always so sticky. Oh my goodness, it's wild. Okay, so as I was saying before the show, I don't actually remember what we talked about the last time we sat down and did this, because it was a year ago. So we're just gonna do the thing. I'm sure my questions have probably changed somewhat. I know a few of them have changed because I'm looking at one right now that is because of Robin Webster. So, there's that. So I guess let's just start at the beginning. Beliefs. Where did you start? What did you grow up thinking or worshiping or what have you?
Well, I grew up in rural Kentucky, the eastern half, and it was very Southern Baptist, young earth creationist, fundamentalism, that kind of thing. Every church that I went to growing up was the Bible is literally true, and they taught it that way in Sunday school. My parents were very religious, and I mean we had prayer before dinner every time, and all that stuff for most of my childhood.
Oof, that can be rough. My grandmother was a big churchy person, but it never stuck, mostly because every time she brought me to a church, I was one of those annoying kids that had questions, and the pastors did not want to answer my questions, so Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, so lots of Bible stuff. Did you have a favorite Bible verse?
Um, I liked. I mean, I was always a fan of like the Noah's Ark story, but um, you speak of asking questions, and that one of the stories that I tell often is that when I was like 5 years old, I just asked how did they fit all the animals on that boat? It would have had to have been a crazy big boat, and because they had, it included dinosaurs and everything, and I was told if I wanted to ask questions that I would end up burning in hell as a 5-year-old, and so I don't know. Southern Baptist fundamentalism is very fear based. I mean, they tell you what an awful, wicked thing you are, and that
Mm.
maybe you'll be good enough to make it. Um, so I don't know. The When I think about favorite Bible verses, it's kind of as a kid, like it was all kind of scary, really. I mean,
Yeah, I got that from a lot of people. Like I said, it never really stuck for me. A lot of people tried to threaten me with it, though. They were like, well, you got to believe or you're going to burn in hell. I'm like, well, what's that all about? And then they tell me, and I'd be like, didn't you just say earlier that your God is love? What loving God would do that? What? Why? How many? My goodness. Um, so I guess it kind of leads into what it was that changed your mind, is things kind of started to not add up.
um, it wasn't until I was in. I mean, I had questions all along the way. I always I always had a feeling of like questioning whether I actually believed some of it was true and things. But it wasn't until I went to college in my 20s that I started to receive education that from outside of the bubble that I was raised in
Oh my.
that then contradicted those things, and it ended up being of my own research and things that I came across more and more contradictions, and the more I tried to find things that confirmed that it was true, the more that I realized it wasn't.
Yeah, that seems to happen to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking of like Paula Gia, for example, who sought out to prove those atheists wrong, and every piece of evidence he found kind of pointed in the other direction. So you know. Oh goodness. I want to say hello to everyone in the chats, the various chats that we're seeing. I mean, oh, there's so many people here, and I appreciate all you folks. I appreciate you so much that I dropped some gift memberships, because YouTube gives creators with sufficiently large channels, like my main, a certain number of memberships to give away every month. And I had 5 left, so I dropped them tonight because we're cooking right along. And also, I see a oh, there's a lot going on. Okay, first of all, members. Andrew Christofferson, John Hudson, Sterling Nash, Kalasia789, Rochelle, it's easier for me to say, and Tyler West. Congratulations, folks. Enjoy your custom emojis. I wish I had something cool to say like Maya does, like your nitties, your stone vaginas, and your tapioca weasels. But you can check those out after this show. This stream on my main channel, anyway, will redirect to Bad Science Sunday on my Adkinson's channel. If you're not watching on my main channel, you'll have to find it the old-fashioned way. But Bad Science Sunday is chef's kiss, one of the most fun things on the internet. I know you'll enjoy, so make sure you go check that out and maybe get in on some of those nitties and stone vaginas.
Yeah.
Additionally, where'd it go? Pinworm sent us a present, and I'm scrolling. Here it is. Pinworm, $5. Thank you so much. Says there are more planes in the ocean than submarines in the sky, and that is factually true. Absolutely.
Yes.
Much wisdom. Thank you for joining, everybody. As I often say, interacting with you folks is the reason we do lives instead of just pre-recorded stuff. Because we could do an interview pre-recorded. I'd do those all day long. These are more fun. and I appreciate y'all being here for it. I wish I could answer everyone, but that would be a whole show in and of itself. Zach says, apparently I need permission from your channel to send them from my stream. Oh, to do a forward thing. Yeah, forwarding is enabled on my channel. That's another weird thing about the way YouTube does stuff. A channel needs to turn on the ability to forward before you can forward. So if you have a channel, make sure that's turned on. But yeah, mine is turned on.
Is Zach's channel big enough to redirect?
I'm not sure off the top
That
of my
might be
head.
why you're having problems. I think you have to have 1,000 subscribers to do it.
I think you need to be over 1,000 and be monetized, because it's part of the monetization process that turns on those nifty features. It's,
or at least
YouTube is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they keep changing the rules on us too. Maya says that she could redirect at 500, so apparently that's a thing. So yeah, I mean it's good. It's personally, the redirect is my favorite tool, and making it available to more creators is really helpful. I appreciate that, YouTube.
Well, that was one of the big uphills why I wanted to get to. I mean, of course, I wanted to get to 1,000 anyway, but one of the things with getting to 1,000 was I was like, I'll finally be able to redirect. But they keep changing everything. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to those 3-minute shorts they keep promising us.
Yeah, I know.
Because all those trans people in histories that I made for the Transpositions channel, only 2 of them were longer than 3 minutes, and I was able to cut them down and rearrange them to be vertical. As soon as we get those 3-minute shorts, as soon as those come online, Bree already has the files.
Rolled out.
That's what they tell me, but I tried to do a short today that was 1:20, and they said, nope, that's a regular video. So
yeah,
whatever.
But they say, though, that if you go ahead, what I understand is that if you go ahead and publish it, even if it's 3 minutes or less, when they do roll it out, it will automatically be rolled over into the shorts if you have videos that are that short. But it depends on when they're going to roll it out, whether that's a good thing or not, you know?
Yeah, we'll see. But we do digress. I mean, tangents. Yeah. That's why tangents are an emoji. Absolutely. Oh goodness. All right. Hello everyone. There were a couple of questions I wanted to answer, but I can't remember what they were. I haven't tried pineapple on pizza yet. I'm looking forward to it though, because pineapple is suddenly the best fucking thing ever. But we'll get to that another time. Shoot. I can't remember what the other questions were. It's fine. I'll try to scroll back through. But while I'm doing that, now that you are free from the shackles of the slavedom to God, thank you, Romans 6:22, what's better in your life?
Oh, I mean, I think that everything is, it was really just such a weight off my chest, and like the whole view of that I have of everything changed once I really admitted out loud that I don't believe these things. I don't believe any of this is true. I don't believe in gods, the supernatural. Once I got to that point, like, it gave me a different perspective at looking at how the universe works and the mechanisms and how nature works, and all of those things suddenly became so much more interesting. And rather than worry about what's going to happen after I die, I'm more focused on the world that I'm presented with now, and trying to do better now. It was a huge change. I mean, it changed everything about my life, everything for the better.
I can relate. Sometimes you get free of some nonsense and you just feel so much better about, and I mean, it makes it possible to do things that you couldn't even do before because you didn't really care. It's pretty neat. Yeah. I'm all for it. Over and above getting free from, and not just religion, but any kind of authority structure where people tell you how you have to live. but just feeling like you're allowed to live your own damn life is pretty damn cool. I highly recommend for everybody.
Well,
Okay.
like how I said that Southern Baptist tells you that you're an awful, wicked person and all that. Like you, you realize that they don't determine your value. They don't determine that anymore. And you get to do that yourself, through the things that you do. And it doesn't really matter how others want to judge you in that way. You can do it however you want to do it. And it's for me it was simple. I have kids, so I want to leave the world better than it is for my kids. I mean, that's
Hell yeah.
yeah.
I, of course. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it shouldn't have to be explained. There are people who need it. Okay, a little context. I happen to have a clip from a guy, I believe he's a New Independent Fundamental Baptist, but the sentiment is sort of like what Joe's talking about. If you don't believe that that's what the churches are like, I know most of you do, but there may be one or two. So here's a quick clip.
I think that's what distinguishes from Christianity from every other religion, because he's still talking about being a good person. And Christianity comes and says, no, you're incapable of being a good person. You're an evil person. You're a terrible person. At the core fabric of who you are. That's why we need laws. We need laws because we're bad people. All of us are bad people.
That's it.
That there's another one from Alyssa Childers, the child singer who turned apologist, whatever. I haven't been able to find the clip. She deleted the video, and I only had the audio from my old intros and outros. Where she says something along the lines of, Christianity is this revolutionary idea that you're not enough, you can never be enough, because only Jesus can help you overcome your fundamental flawed nature sort of thing. And I'm like, that's fucking horrible. People thinking that shit about themselves.
And they start when they're children too. I mean, you're very young. They tell you that you're born wicked. You have no choice.
Yeah. It's that whole original sin thing. On a slightly more positive note, Fern Lovebond sends $2. Thank you so much, Fern. And says, I have nothing witty and I'm cheap and broke. That's it. That's relatable, Fern. That's
yeah.
I did the same thing. I'm so poor the last couple of weeks. I'm overspent. A bunch of bills came in at once, and then surprise bills in my poor bank account. And still occasionally I'll be on a stream and I'll just drop a few memberships. This past week it's been Florida friends who like really need a little something next, but we do what we can for community. And that's one of the things that's fantastic about this community, which is why I'm trying to build a new channel for it. Because as much as I appreciate everybody being on this channel, it isn't all about me. It's about all of us. Like Jester, Lord of Shenaniganery, who's a member for 15 months and says, if none of us are good and we were made in God's image, what are the entailments to that, I wonder?
You've got Shenaniganery down good.
Oh, fuck yeah. I love that. I know Jester wants to change it back, but I fucking love it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back on track. I suppose we're here to do a thing. This one I know I've asked, but everybody's got a different answer, and every video is somebody's first video, so it bears repeating. Being a non-believer doesn't entail being a creator. So why did you decide to make a channel and do the YouTubes?
I mean, that's something that has varied. I mean, it's changed a lot because at the very beginning, I guess it was watching debates, really fiery, good debates. People like Hitchens and then even Aaron Raw. I love watching Aaron Raw on the Non Sequitur show, beat up on Kent Hovind and things like that. And these were things that I was familiar with, and I was learning more all the time. So it was always like, I would get fired up about it and be like, yeah, I want to do that, and so I created the channel, but I didn't make anything. And then over time, it was like, well, I enjoy debates and things, so why don't I see about doing some debates? And yeah. So I know what that was. The and I started out, I wanted to do debates, and as I went along and started doing live streaming, I really got to know the community and interact with the community, and that's really been where my focus has went since then. I think that the atheist community is just a wonderful group of people, and it's all different people of different talents and different knowledges and in different places, and it's just that has really driven me to just interact and make good stuff and enjoy the community.
Hell yeah, absolutely. We seem to have a challenger in the chat. I'm not sure if it's a challenger for you or for me, but I thought you might be interested. It's Truthful Ministries says, my question is, what is the point of working so hard to push that God doesn't exist? It doesn't free anybody. People end up being slaves to their own desires and are never happy. Now, I don't know who the challenge was directed towards, but I would rebut by saying, I don't know. I'm pretty goddamned happy. So
yeah, that's the projection there is you're a slave to a God because it demands that. I'm not a slave to anything. I'm pretty happy.
Well, capitalism, but we can only do so much.
Yeah, well, I guess that's true. It has nothing to do with my desires, and also I have no desire to prove that a God does not exist. That's secondary. The only thing I have a desire to do in that realm is to shine a little sunlight on some of the harmful things that religion does, or that is done in the name of religion. And it's not, whether a God exists or not is not something that I really ever think about, honestly. I've been down that road. I'm not convinced one does. So unless I become convinced a God exists, I'm really not thinking about that all that much. Again, I do this for the community. And again, I don't know who you're talking to, but I would, if you want to talk to me, I would be happy to sit down and talk to you anytime. And I'm sure Ember feels the same about that. So,
oh yeah, I've actually been hunting down a few specific people, precisely to have a chat, like last summer before, something like that. There was a fellow, a big bearded apologist named Gospelologian, who made waves in the atheist community because he did a video called How to Witness to Atheists, and it was just the worst you've ever seen. So everybody picked on him, and it was kind of deserved. Even he admitted that. But I invited him over for a chat. I'm like, I want to understand. I don't want to prove you wrong. I want to understand what you believe and why you believe it. And neither one of us convinced the other, but it was a very pleasant chat. And that's the sort of thing I'm interested in. I mean, debates are fun too, but I really enjoy the connection of mind to mind kind of stuff. But Joe, you mentioned a really key detail a lot of people, both on the secular side and on the theistic side, miss. Religion isn't necessarily the same thing as God. It's not the idea of a God that we necessarily have a problem with. It's the religions trying to tell everyone how they have to live. Every religion in the world could be false, and there could still be a God. So, yeah. But thank you for liking the stream. I appreciate that. And yeah, everybody else, if you haven't, please, hit some buttons. Hit subscribe, hit the like, hit the share, invite some more friends over to come, challenge us to debates and things.
I mean, on this 24-hour stream that has been playing, you see that my videos start out early with me showing some of the grifting and things that televangelists do. Because my videos were never a question of whether God exists. It was showing the harmful things that are being done in the name of God. Whether a God exists or not is secondary to the things that religion, Christianity specifically, seems to allow. Because Kenneth Copeland's, one of the richest televangelists. Well, he is the richest televangelist there is, and Christians aren't pushing back against this. Christians aren't on here telling Kent Hovind to stop lying about evolution, so they must be accepting of it. I mean, that's what it seems to be, or at least, at the very least, they're not. They don't mind that he's doing it because it's for religion. So I think that that's a problem. But it's not the believer that I take issue with. It's the belief and what they do with that belief.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's people need to be able to live their lives, and if it makes you feel better to think that there's a greater power than yourself helping you, watching out for you. I mean, I when something good happens in my day, I go, "Oh, the universe loves Ember." I mean, I don't believe there's a consciousness to the universe making a decision along those lines, but sometimes it's just a part of our lives that can just make a day a little bit easier, a little bit better. Sometimes it leads to bad decisions, but usually we try to keep those low stakes decisions. It's a whole thing.
Yes.
Related to this tangent of tangents we've gone on. What is your personal mission or goal? What do you hope to accomplish with your activism?
Well, I mean, there's a couple things. The first one is a selfish reason. I'm getting older. I've had some health problems. I have accomplished really nothing in my life other than being a drug addict, and there's not really a great story there to. And so the selfish reason is that there is some sort of legacy left behind of me trying to make the world a better place. And so there's that. But, also, I don't like to see other people suffer and hurt. And I don't enjoy, especially seeing the trauma and things that takes place because of religion. And it's something within me told me that I need to speak out about it. I need to talk about it. And, I said I'm really happy. And part of that being happy is that I get to use my voice to get some of that out and talk about what those issues are.
Yeah, another thing that I've noticed that you do is while you're not afraid of debate or confrontation, you said, as was brought to my attention during this 24-hour live stream that we had cooking, a lot of people are out there doing counter-apologetics, pushing back on the science. Some people are a lot more qualified than either of us, and depending on which science it is we're talking about. Like if you want to talk abiogenesis out of our immediate community, Grayson's probably the go-to fella. If you want to talk paleontology, then perhaps you'll call Doc Dino. Philosophy, Mark Reed, so on and so forth. But one thing that doesn't get a lot of attention, and one of the ways that I very much relate with you and why we did this project together to start to see if it works, is community. The focus on, I mean, everybody needs community. Everybody understands the importance of community. But most of the counter-apologetics efforts are stomping on Ken Ham rather than building each other up. And this is a thing I kind of picked up from moving in transgender circles. There's always a component of community who's pushing back on the people who want to stomp on us. Much like there has to be atheist activists pushing back on the people who want to build a theocracy and crush us all. But at the same time, there has to be a segment that's building the rest of us up and behaving as if the people who wish us harm don't even matter. Because in the grand scheme of things, they shouldn't. We can't ignore them, but they shouldn't define our lives either.
I think that a lot of those people that identify as the nuns, I think that if we normalize the atheist community more, to where it's more of a comfortable, okay thing to talk about, and there is that community there of people who are building each other up, that those nuns actually end up taking part in that community, whether they call themselves atheists or not, doesn't matter. But if it's normalized to where not just the nuns, but even the theists, accept that there are people that don't think the same thing they do, that it's just their belief, and that kind of thing there has to be a breaking point somewhere. Either that happens or things go sideways really bad. And so I think that those people that are pushing back are doing a wonderful thing. Mark Reed, great at debates, and just such a great guy and great with the community. But Matt Dillahunty, Aaron Raw, these people are really good at what they do, pushing back on these things. And we have experts in all kinds of areas. Now, you're right. I'm not that. And those people are more qualified than both of us in some areas. So what can I want to use my voice, but what can I add? There is this community that has heard these arguments and knows the pushback. And there's people in this community that can rattle off every, rebuttal to Kent Hovind's script because they've seen it 100 times. And so you need to talk to them where they're at, right? They don't want to they still like it and it's valuable, but they don't always necessarily want to hear the arguments. Like, let's go ahead and accept that we kind of have a general idea of what the arguments are and things, and let's just enjoy the community and talk about how we actually feel about those things and stuff. And I find I know that it's not again, my goal isn't to debunk Christianity or prove a God doesn't exist. I don't care, really. I don't really care about that question. I'm not convinced one does. So I've moved on from that, and building community is how we normalize all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in fact, it kind of relates to another thing, which isn't actually on my questions list, but it's been on my mind because it came up on the 24-hour stream on the new channel. I'll change the banner over to that in case people are joining us who have no idea. Where is it? There it is. Okay. This doesn't actually say the name of the new channel. It's Association of Skeptics and Humanists. It's youtube.com @skeptics and humanists, I think. It's around. It's on betterthanember.com. You can find all my weird channels there. One of the shows that came up from your backlog was shortly after the Thomas Sheedy incident. And one of it was you were talking to Stephanie Helms, saying something about how you wish that it were possible to unite the entire community, but we can't have basically people who are outright trying to recruit for the Christian nationalists under the banner of atheism within our ranks, because it works against our own best interests. And I was thinking, at that moment, I almost typed into the chat, but I wasn't sure if anybody was even there to interact on it. It's not that we kicked the For Liberty people out of the community, out of the tent. They were welcome to be there. They chose to leave because they decided that bigotry is more important to them than staying united.
Yeah. And we don't see them because they know that what they're doing is wrong. That's they don't even attempt it. Why? Admitting that you're an atheist is a huge thing. And I think that even though the only thing that the community may agree on unanimously is that we don't believe a God exists, there's still these other things that, like I said, you realize that people are more important and all that. And I feel like that their agenda doesn't mesh with what the atheist community is. And so they stick out like a sore thumb whenever they start pushing ideology into it, because atheism doesn't have an ideology itself. Everybody may, like, we may lean more blue because of rights for people and treating people like people, and things that we care about, freedom and bodily autonomy and things of that sort. We may, the community may lean more left generally because of that. Those extreme right-wing ideas, you come into, I mean, any chat on any of the channels in the circles where we go, and you start with any right-wing stuff, even during that stream with Thomas Sheedy, when he was trying to not say who he was, everybody in that stream still got a sense of something's not right here. There's something that's off about what he's saying, and he knows that too, because where's he been since you talked to him? Where's he been? Have we seen him at all?
He's been hanging out with Shermer and Bogosian and Colin Wright and that crowd.
Yeah.
Which it's just so wild. Like, there was a free thought convention. There's a clip that's in my inventory. I may review it at some point. I may not, because it's short and it's really frustrating. But it's Mike Shermer. He brings Colin Wright out, asks him a bunch of leading questions so that he can lie about biology in a way that doesn't technically infringe on his expertise, just to drag trans people through the mud. And he's like, yeah, we need to be skeptical, critical thinkers. And I'm like, then what are you doing, Michael? Like, you're going after a marginalized group for no fucking reason, just to prove to the Heritage Foundation that you could be sponsored content? What are you doing?
The atheist community's smart. They've thought critically about these things for the most part. At least that's my opinion. I mean, they don't take it. It's not taken lightly that you give up a belief in something that you were indoctrinated into as a child. It's not taken lightly. So there are a lot of members of the community, both creators and just, people who are common in the chat, people who come around sometimes, but they think critically about this stuff. And when you do that, those things start to, you identify those things quickly. And the atheist community is good at rooting out the rats. Pretty good at it, I feel like.
There's pluses and minuses. Like, certain sectors of the community will identify a problem person, and there's a couple of people that we both have dealt with that I think everybody knows, but we give them multiple chances. They choose to not stop sucking, but then they move to the next community over and start it all over. And the people there, because they're humanists, they're like, oh, I know you've done bad things in the past, but you deserve a fair chance. And then they just do the same shit over again. And we can't be like, hey, that person's bad news. We can point to their history. Like, this person was involved with the ACA and then got asked to leave, and then was involved with the Line and got asked to leave, and then wasn't involved with, all the communities. And
well, look,
maybe there's a reason.
I'm a silly redneck from Eastern Kentucky. You can fool me, but fooling the community at large is a bigger trick, right? And we rely on each other. We build that community because we can rely on each other. And we talk about in both of those situations, the very next morning, as soon as I wake up, I have messages. Hey, I understand what happened here. I found this out. I know this. You need to look at this. What's the deal with this? We rely on each other, and you can fool me and you may get by with it. I don't claim to be anything great. I'm just a dude. But you're fooling the community at large is a different story, and they move on to those other communities, and guess what happens? There's critically thinking people there, and they don't get by with it there either.
Yeah, I mean, as the British like to say, the truth will out eventually,
Yeah.
and we tend to believe people when they tell us who they are. It may take us a minute sometimes to really catch on, but we've learned. We've been burned a few times.
Yeah.
It's
It doesn't make me doesn't make me any
Mhm.
less likely to give people a chance, though. I mean, I'll give people second and third chances. But
Mhm.
you're not, what do you accomplish by fooling me? You're gonna go tell people you fooled some Kentucky guy with an accent from Eastern Kentucky? Oh, I hope that works good for you. I hope you feel like you really scored one there.
Yeah. Yeah, like that dude from the reality show who pretended to be trans for 6 months to demonstrate how gullible the wokies are. And all he got to show for it is people were nice to him.
Yeah.
Oh no, people were
Yeah.
nice.
Look at this awful thing.
Yeah. What the hell? My goodness. It's yeah, as you pointed out, atheism is just the answer to one question. Are you convinced that there is a God or gods? And everything else is up for debate. But as I've often said, atheism plus rationality leads inevitably to humanism.
Oh, sure.
Because
Yeah.
it's in all our benefit to do
Yeah.
things that benefit humanity. And it's also kind of nice. It's I mean, if you want to feel powerful, try building a better world. Which is sort of like what you were saying earlier. You want to leave a better world for your kids. I mean,
Yeah.
I do too, but also I want a better world for me.
Oh, sure. I mean, we all have aspects of our life we want to improve, and when you realize that praying isn't going to do that, and you there's no for me, I don't believe in anything supernatural. I don't believe in luck outside of like statistics, I don't believe in superstition or ghosts or any of those things. So it's if I want something to change, I can't just sit and hope it changes. I, I don't know. I'm just not that passive.
Yeah, it is. I get myself into trouble for that sort of thing because when I've decided something needs to be done, I do not fuck around. I go directly for it, and sometimes that leads to some unfortunate missteps, or just stepping on toes because I'm so gung ho to get shit done, and then people are like, "You need
I've
to
stuck my foot in
be
my mouth
patient."
multiple times
Yeah.
publicly.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes. Very muchly. Oh, out of all the times I've thought about walking the fuck away from YouTube, all of them I can think of off the top of my head are because I said something very dumb and then I felt really bad.
Yeah.
Which is fair because that's why that feeling is there. We get that regret exists to tell us we done fucked up and we need to make some shit right,
Yeah. But then when you learn from it, then you reflect back and you're like, that was so awesome because I learned this lesson and because it made me better at what I do. This bad thing that I felt like was worth giving it all up for was actually the thing that pushed me in the direction to do better. And it's not always easy to view those things that way. And I'm kind of known for beating up on myself when I screw up. But that's how I take accountability for things. And then later I remember those things because they were such a big deal and use that to my advantage down the road. So
it's one of the things I admire most about you in particular is, for lack of a better word, the way you man up. Like when you fuck up, you make damn sure not only do you know it, but that you publicly say, I did this wrong. I'm fixing that behavior and I'm telling everybody else this is wrong. let's not do that anymore. And you take steps to do something about it. Like the Sheedy thing, you wanted to go right after him. And I'm like, hold on. Let me get this one, you know?
Yeah. Which and community, again, that's why that worked out. We relied on each other, and that was an amazing moment. That was, for me, that is one of the most memorable moments of doing this, is how that ended up playing out. I thought it was amazing. It was just, it's perfect. And, you know, like I had watched Bad Science Sunday, was a fan of Maya before that. That's when Maya and I started speaking. That's part of me and Stephanie had spoke a few times, but we talked a lot about that. I mean, we built more community because of those mistakes. Then whenever you did the interview, it went wonderfully. Everybody found out what that was about. I still, got to say my piece about it. Waiting a day wasn't a problem. The and in the end, it had such a great effect. It ended up being a thing that made us stronger as a community, even though it was kind of painful, embarrassing, and bad in the moment.
Yeah, it was a rough spot, but I mean, a lot of people pulled together on that one. Like, I had Stephanie digging out receipts from nonsense he'd done, so I could drop them in his lap, and Bree was just gathering all the datas from the online spaces, like the Bird app and so forth. And it just, I couldn't have put that together that fast without a ton of help.
Yeah,
And community can do that kind of thing.
It was a thing of beauty. It was great. The interview with Thomas Sheedy was just great, especially for those. And that's the thing. It was a great interview by itself, but for the people that were there, for the people that were in that stream and watched it and involved in that whole thing, they know the whole backstory, and it's even a better story that way. So it was wonderful. It was a great thing.
Epic moments in it. Although, relating to what you were saying earlier about making amends when we realize we fucked up, I do have to say that was one of the hardest things I have ever had to do in this entire time online. It's just hard to do that kind of thing. And the reason I wanted to do it was only partly because he'd misled us and I was big mad about it. I do have to admit it was also partly because I wanted to make amends for a previous fuck up that I had no other way to atone for. Sure. Because the people involved were no longer speaking to me, Or, well, the people who were directly involved anyway.
Well,
and I was like,
yeah, right. I think that those moments come up, and sometimes you have to act in that moment and make a decision, and everything's not always clear, and we don't, as a community, and most of us as individuals that I know of, we don't pretend to have all the answers or know always what the best thing is to do. We work those
because we're not religious.
Right. We don't have a book that pretends to already have the answer to every question you may have. We work those things out. We figure them out. Sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes it ends up in a dumpster fire. I mean, but when it doesn't and things go well, it is so worth it in those moments. It is those are the things that are really inspiring, and we get to share those with the community that cares about us and helps us, and it's, I don't know. See, those things are like, that's why I realized along the way that arguing with theists and debates, that has its value, and people do it well. I've done debates. I feel like I did okay in the debates I've done, but I feel like that it's not, I don't care to do those things, but it's not necessarily the place where I serve the community best. And at the end of the day, making the world a better place for this community is part of it too. Not just convincing Christians that religion is a bad idea or whatever. That's not, to me, that's not something I'm very good at. So if I can do things within the community and people are happier within the community, having a good time, even just in a better mood that day because of a funny story or something, then that's worth doing too.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of, we are on a Sunday singing the praises of the glory of community. Well,
We gotta get our
welcome to the
fellowship
Church of
together.
Atheism, folks. And you know, speaking of which, that gives me a great segue. Left-handed Jedi, member for 10 months. I appreciate the hell out of that. We tithe to each other, kind of, right? You know, I'm a member on Joe's channel, Maya's channel, Mark's channel, a couple other channels. I do what I can. I'm very poor, and I know many of us do the same. We're all like handing the same $5 around to each other just to show to support,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a wonderful thing because at least it's going to something we care about, not something we've been guilted into doing. You know, it's so great. Another Al Trucker member for 11 months, nearly a year now. We're going to have an Al-iversary soon. Al says it's important to hear what's being said, give it consideration, and then get the truth and set it straight. Thank you to everyone who teamed up.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Teamwork makes the dream work, or so I'm told.
Yeah.
And that's a weird thing for me too. There are a lot of things in my life, as you can imagine, that are relatively new for me. But much of my life, you have to do things on your own. You know, you're the only person who's going to help you or even gives a shit. Everything from school projects, the group projects where only the one person who cares about their grades does any of the work, through major life crises. You know, a couple winters ago, I was in a car wreck and I didn't have anybody to call. Not a single person. And that upset me more than the car wreck. In that moment, I realized, I mean, I called AAA, but like I didn't have a person to call. And that wiped me out more thoroughly than the ice. You know, I was like, this is not great. So having people who are willing to help with things, I'm very much not used to that, but I very much appreciate it. It's fucking cool. Well, I've gone in tangent just again. That never happens. Okay, let's do a couple fun questions.
Okay.
What you have the magical power of an alleged god, but you can only do one thing. What would you change about the world?
I mean, there's so I would make everybody the same color, the same shade of a color, that however you want to say that. You know, but I'm an all-powerful God without any, you know, history of it or anything. Just put everybody on equal ground, at least on that. That would be a simple thing to take racism out of the world easily. But you know, like you can say, I mean, I guess then the answer is do away with racism, do away with bigotry in general. I guess, like, quit hurting each other just based on superficial things that don't matter to you individually. Like, everything would be so much better just without that.
Yeah, it really would. You know, if people didn't have the ability to just dehumanize people based on a characteristic. Like, I mean, we did an experiment in my second grade class because everyone was white, which is a whole thing in and of itself. We're going to break the class into groups by eye color. All the brown-eyed people go over here, and all the blue-eyed people go over here, and I was the only one with green eyes, so I was off by myself, as per usual. And then we were just immediately tribal. You know, the brown-eyed people were the majority, so they decided proper humans all have brown eyes, and they just started discriminating against the blue-eyed people.
And then
And
eugenics started.
basically,
Yeah.
it did not take long at all. So humans will just group up and then hate on people of the other group really fast. It was like Lord of the Flies with these fucking children, you know?
Well, my goal in saying that was to say to just do away with racism. So even if that's not the method, just to do away with hating people for things that they don't have any control over, that they don't choose. Like I mean, I didn't choose that my eyes are blue, so hating me for it would be silly, right? Like but that's what goes on. So doing away with that in general, I guess. I mean, I don't know what method to do it, but an all powerful God surely would know how, right?
You would think. It's just terrible design. Victoria says this is presently the hat group, and that is true. That's not a characteristic you're born with. However, that is a lifestyle choice, but hats are objectively superior. It's true. Mark sends a member chat, but it's in reference to, Zach says, the Stanford prison experiment.
Sure.
And then Mark, member for 16 months. Thank you so much, mate. That's 16 months is so cool. It's so cool to see big numbers. I am loving it. Mark says that is a very famous social experiment. Indeed it is. That's wild. Because, I mean, I was aware of something similar from a young age. I was huge into World War II stuff, right? Learning the planes especially. I love fucking airplanes. When I was 6 or 7 years old, I went to an air show where they had a World War II bomber, a B-17, named Fuddy Duddy, and they had one of the original crewmen who was there to talk about it, and it was so neat, and as part of the show, they went up and flew around, and because I knew so much about it, with my parents' permission, I got to go on that little loop-de-loop around. I got to fly on the plane. It was fucking sweet. At that time, while I was learning history of World War II, talking to the veteran, things like this, it struck me that the way people talked about the Germans during that period, excellent. Well done. It was dehumanizing. I knew why they needed to do it. You know, it was to protect their own psychology so they could do the war thing, because killing people fucks with your head. It really, really does. So if you can dehumanize your enemy, you can recover better when the war is over. But it left a mark. It left a mark on a huge swath of our civilization. This idea that you can take a group of people and declare them to be lesser. Now, that's always been true in the United States. You know, poor people have always been lesser than landowners, and prisoners have always been lesser to the poor people. And it's almost a caste system, if you will. But after World War II, it wasn't just lesser. It was a different kind of dehumanizing, more so than we had done in the antebellum South, where, like, people weren't treated as full people, but the World War II situation was they aren't even human. And it just...
Yeah.
Once that got into our culture, it's a thing people do. And so we see stuff like the Stanford prison experiment. Maybe it would have been different if it had been carried out 100 years ago. I'm not confident it would be, though. But it goes to show that all it takes is one difference that a person can just catalog and strip away all your humanity. It's so wild. Sinister Porpoise sends a super chat for 512. Going with the doubling, the binary, the number system, like 512 megabytes on a flashcard, that sort of thing. I get the joke this time. And explaining the joke makes it funnier. Sinister says, taking suggestions for hats on a YouTube appearance on November 17th. Currently thinking pirate. I mean, if you can be a pirate, always choose a pirate.
Always, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, that's just my thought, though. Wow, that was a bit of a rant, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, historically, people have tribalism has made people try to find ways they want to be in the in group, and this group is bad, and they want to up each other, and how horrific the things they do to exclude that group is, and so we see cultures of based completely on hate, and it, I mean, we don't need that. It's it's shown all through history that we end up paying a price for that, as you know, as a whole group, and that's part of the problem with wanting to erase the history that we have, especially here in the United States. I mean, we were able to overcome some of those things, and at least not perfect, not be perfect, but the Civil Rights Act of 1965 was a big step, and we continue moving forward, even though there's still problems. I'm not saying that everything's fixed or that it's great necessarily for anyone specifically, but we have moved in the right direction. If you start erasing the history of where we overcame those things, how do people know that then? How do they know that what the right direction is? You need that reference to continue doing better. So it's, I don't know. I'm very passionate about not being mean to people for things that they have no control over, especially.
I kind of go the other direction. I like to be extra nice to people for the differences, because to me it's the differences that make things wonderful. It's,
Yeah.
oh, your eyes are a different color I haven't seen before. They're so fucking pretty.
Yeah, no, I agree
Type
with
thing.
that. I agree. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I know it's just a matter of approach rather than substance, because it's not hating people for what's different. It's not taking away their humanity.
Well, the way you said it sounds so much better than the way I said it.
I don't know. I love it when it's 100% projection. I love it when people go out of their way to say something nice to me, because it makes my damn day better. And so I try to do that to other people.
Not all projection is bad. Not all assumptions are bad. It's a misunderstanding of things.
Yeah, yeah, like Al says, our uniqueness is pretty fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Shoot, my brain is all over the place. It's been a day, folks. I've been not just running the stream, I've also been working. I got an interview edited. I had a photo shoot earlier. I was on the behind the camera this time. I think this is actually the first major shoot since I started my transition, but that's neither here nor there. And it ran really, really late. I came back and the computer had crashed. It's been a day. So I'm a little discombobulated, but we're doing good. I think we're holding things together here. I'll just lean heavily on Joe, because I know Joe can talk about anything for hours on end.
You want me to ramble? We can do that.
we can, but I do still have a few questions. Professionals up in here, absolutely. You've got a year more with your channel under your belt since the last time we talked about such things. What stands out to you now as the best moment so far?
Wow. That's tough. Because there's a lot of great moments. It's not, I mean, the interview with Thomas Sheedy, how all of that came together and then ended up working out so well. I mean, that's definitely a high moment for me. Whenever my channel went through the stuff, I mean, it's always on the rebound of bad things. my channel went through the stuff with my co-host and some members of the community and things, and some people got angry with me and whatever, and like that's fine. But there was some tense moments there, but at the end of that, everything worked out for the better in the long run. Like there's Jess in chat now. Jess and I started working together. A high moment. We talk to each other. We get each other. Like so it's both ways. There's small moments in interviews. There's I don't know. I guess the high moment is just seeing the community continue to grow. Ray Carroll started a channel because he said that he was inspired by me. Al Trucker wrote music because he said he was inspired by me. So seeing that I've made small differences here and there makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing. So there's no one thing that really sticks out so much, though. It's all those things.
Hell yeah. That's some cool shit. It's really neat when people let you know that you are making a difference. And whether you think you are or not, I promise you are. In fact, I'm gonna find the interview I was editing today. I cut a little short out of it because it was a brief enough bit of Ember preaching that I was like, this may help some people, and also I can do this. So, oh shit, because my system crashed, I have to find the folder again. We can do this, it'll be fine. As long as I don't crash my system again trying to open it. I've got the spinning wheel of thinking. We'll get to it in a second. Okay, here's the folder. Where is it? Okay, there's the... Now I gotta open the file. You guys are getting the play-by-play here because I don't want to lose focus. I'm so distractible. Especially today. Okay, so this is before I cut it into the vertical format and cut down the amount of time. So you're getting like an uncut cut, if that makes any damn sense. I don't often make sense, so don't mind me. Anyway,
watch it.
yeah. Here we go.
Well, I'm continuing my work at the center. I know that even if it came a time where I didn't need the money, I would still be working there. I believe in the mission that strongly. Am I going to change the world? I mean, again, to stay positive, let's see how I can put this positively. I am ready to be the strongest advocate possible for transgender folks, and if you want to call that being a warrior, a peaceful warrior, then that's where I will go if I need to.
Yeah, that's a viable thing. There have been a couple examples throughout history of non-violent but aggressive resistance.
And I'm a strong believer in nonviolence.
Touching on what you said earlier about how you don't know how much it might go towards, like, are you going to change the world? The thing of it is, I am a sci-fi nerd, and I've read a lot of time travel stories. And in every time travel story, the people get all worked up about, you go back in the past, if you so much as sneeze wrong, you could make somebody glance to see what's going, and it'll change the whole course of history, and this and that and the other. That's, of course, it's hyperbole for the purpose of the story, but there's some truth to it. I have yet to meet a single person on this earth whose actions don't ripple out and affect the lives of people around them, who affect the lives of people around them, and affect the lives of the people around them. We can't help but change the world every day with every choice we make. That's the godlike power of being alive, is we influence the world. It would be wonderful if we could all be more mindful of how those changes might affect the future, but we can't, be considering what'll happen 1,000 years from now every time we decide whether we want cookies or donuts. But maybe if we took some time to be just a little bit more mindful now and then, especially with our interactions with other people, take a split second to choose kindness and watch how that ripples outward into the world. I promise, you'll be impressed with how much you do change things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a long-winded way of what I was trying to get at, is that even if people don't say, hey, you made my day better, or hey, I did this thing because of you and now I'm really proud of it, or whatever, you're still changing the world. You're still doing good. And you may not see it, you may not know about it, but it's still happening. And that's pretty fucking cool, in my
Yeah.
humble opinion.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like spirituality, because there's this, you never know when you approach things with a positive attitude and try to be good to others and do good things. It may not make a huge difference in the moment, but it could. I mean, you never know when somebody's having that hard day, when some kind words may be the thing that they needed, you know? So having that kind of attitude, you make changes that you know of and ones that you don't know of. But I agree with you completely that everything you do has that effect. And if we could have knowledge of what that effect would be, three places removed, 100 places removed, then sure, we might, you would work towards the greater good that way. But we don't always know, so we do the best that we can in that moment. And that's I love that view of it. That's really great. That's awesome.
We all have our moments. But relating to how awkward some of those situations can be, or more, I guess, a different version of the previous question is, what's the weirdest thing that's happened on or because of your channel, in your opinion?
Oh boy. I mean, I've been surprised a few times. Mostly, one of the things I say is that, like, when I deal with theists and not always even theists, but when you deal with some of these beliefs, and conspiracy theory people and stuff, like, everybody has beliefs about something, and not everybody has all of the knowledge about everything. You make some leaps here and there, whether they're founded or not, it's different. Whether they're big crazy leaps or not is different. And rational people who seem to be usually rational make leaps that make sense, right? They're based on knowledge and evidence and things like that. But when you're talking to like a theist, you may be having a perfectly normal conversation, and you never know when that conversation is going to just jump the tracks to crazy town. A reference to my on Bad Science Sunday coming up next is that Roger from Mud Fossil University may be able to carry on a perfectly normal conversation in a coffee shop with someone until we get to starting to say that all rocks look like vaginas. I mean, like, you don't know with people at what point that's going to happen. And with believers, it's like, I mean, I remember moments like with Daniel early on when he tried to justify murdering children, and like, it's like, is this really where you're going to go right now? Like, I didn't expect that. And people who have really done good and been good people, and then all of a sudden they have this theist behavior about one subject that and you're just like, really, is that what we're dealing with here? And so, I mean, I get surprised all the time by things like that. But a weirdest moment, I don't know. There's been some weird ones. I've been asked some weird stuff. Wesley Curry coming on, because I thought that the first time I met Wesley Curry, and I hate to, I'm not trying to be mean about this. I'm just It's just what happened. He came on, and I thought he hadn't really said anything in the chat, and somebody said, I think it was Tux. He was like, "Oh, that's Wesley Curry," and I was like, "Okay," and he said, "I'm going to tell you about a dream that you've had 10,000 times," and you know, I thought he was just speaking in some religious mumbo jumbo, you know, and then he puts a picture of it looked like a children's drawing of a house on the screen. And I was just like, what is going on? Like, and I'm not speaking badly of him. I'm just saying there's just moments like that that come at you sideways, and you don't expect things like that. And dealing with having shows where the public has access to your show and can come on if they want, it's full of surprises. I was on with Stephanie Helms one day, and I let people just join my stream if they want to join. I had to quit doing that because of this, but we get porn bombed twice in one interview, you know, like and it's like, why would you want to do that? What is, those are weird moments for me.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't understand people like that.
I've had a few people ask why I don't do open rooms publicly anymore. When the opportunity arises, sometimes I'll do member streams like that, but not publicly. It's because of the porn bombs. Like, you don't know who's coming on, you know? I'm like, nope, we need to put a gate here, because I mean, YouTube may take down my channel someday for something, but I want it to be because of something I did, not some rando jumping on the stream, you know?
Yeah.
It's, oh goodness. It's a wowzers. There's so much wowzers out there. But yeah, you know, yeah, Wesley Curry is an interesting person. Like many of the theists who frequent our community, which is a weird thing in and of itself. Like, why do they spend so much time with us? But whatever. He can't help but preach, like, all the time. And it's wild, crazy preaching. But he's also a really good musician, and every now and then you can break through and get him to talk about something sane. And he's, aside from the crazy, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, and like I said, it's no hate on Wesley Curry. It's just that was just a sideways moment. Somebody brought up Blessed Be He in the chat. Blessed Be He. I cannot figure out why this person continues to frequent all of our streams, but seems to hate us all. You know, like it's so we engage with her and whatever, but it's just like one of those things that's strange about what we do. You know.
Yeah. And Johnny makes a really good point. This whole thing about it's from the chat, stuff about sacrificing babies. That really is the original blood libel. That's where that comes from. It's oh boy. But yeah, there's lots of fun things happening in the chat, which is why, if you're new here, you should hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching this later, hello, future people, ring the bell so you can join us in the live chats, because we'd love to see you. We'd love to hear what you have to say, even if what you have to say is that an imaginary, undead, invisible carpenter ghost loves us. I mean, it doesn't hurt us. So, you know, yeah. Yes, join us. Join one of us. One of us. All right, we got the shilling, my shilling out of the way. We'll get to your shilling in a little bit, because we're almost time to wrap. But before we do, I want to know, what is your favorite branch of science?
So my favorite branch of science for my own interest would be cosmology. I'm really fascinated by the workings of the universe and Big Bang cosmology. I find interesting, of course, but for purposes of discussion and things, I found myself having to delve deep into evolution a lot. So, I mean, I do like talking about Phylogeny is a dirty pleasure of mine, I guess. I find phylogeny really interesting, but overall, the cosmos is the thing that really makes me stand in awe the most.
Same. That's one of the things that really made me religion resistant. Is well, okay, some religions. It kind of pulled me in those directions, like some branches of neo paganism where the whole universe is connected, kind of thing. That can be kind of interesting. But like to look at how fucking vast the cosmos is, and I mean, it's 100 years ago this year is when Slipher and Hubble proved that the Andromeda Nebula is actually a separate galaxy. That there are other galaxies.
Mhm.
Just 100 years ago, we thought the Milky Way was all that there was. The universe, our understanding of reality, increased in size beyond our ability to cognitively wrap our minds around. It's so much bigger than it used to be, and it's only been 100 years. It's so trippy to me. But the history of science, that's just the barest bit of the interestingness. And when you look at globular clusters or ring nebula or 3C273, the first quasar we discovered, the closest quasar, the only one that's naked eye visible, to see something that far away, that's so bright, the universe is just full of astonishing wonder. And oh goodness, it's yeah. So
We've talked
I get
about
it.
black holes for the last 100 years, and
Mm.
only just, well, not quite 100 years, but only just observed them. And that there's always just, I guess it's an area where there's always a lot of new discoveries because we don't
Mhm.
know a whole lot about much of anything. Even our eyes, we only see in a small spectrum of what there is to see. Um,
Mhm.
the cosmic microwave background is the implications of that are really amazing, and there's just so many forefronts of that there's always an interesting topic. And having grown up loving like Star Trek, um, the original series movies were a big thing, and my dad was a big fan of Star Trek, and um,
Nerd.
yeah, he passed away when I was 11, so I still I found myself pushed to be interested in things that interested him more so because of that. And so I really got into those things at an early age, and Batman, that those things with that wonder to it. Like I was a Harry Potter fan because it's like this unknown magic. I don't really think they're great movies, but like the idea of it was cool. So I think cosmology gives you a lot of that. Yeah, yeah, Sinister Porpoise. Con.
Ah! Oh, so the movie was amazing, top tier, but also the memes we got from that movie. We do truly live in blessed times.
Yeah.
And it's getting better all the time. Like the internet we have today, as annoying as it can be with its little quirks and things not working and not lining up and so forth. Think of where we were 5 years ago. Now think about where we might be 5 years from now, and
Yeah.
that's fucking cool. People say, I don't want to live forever because it'll be boring, yada yada. I want to see what's beyond that next horizon. I want to see what happens next. What
Yeah.
what we'll learn.
Well, I mean, whenever we have like even something like battery technology, building better batteries, like that doesn't sound like anything all that interesting, but whenever you then apply that to all the things that can change, it suddenly becomes this big deal. Going to the moon again, like we've we've been there, but we know how to do so much more now that there, who knows what we're going to discover and what that's going to make us able to do in the future, because we know that the space program in the 60s and 70s is what led to a lot of the technology that we still come up with today. Wouldn't be there if it wasn't for us pushing that horizon of discovery further and further out. So it always, again, like we talked about in the last part, where you don't know the effect that those things are going to have, the ripple effect throughout, throughout time, that may lead to some great better thing. And that's so interesting. It's nothing is, to our knowledge anyway, even if determinism is true, it's too complicated for us to figure out. So you're still going to be surprised and amazed by what comes next. There may be a discovery tomorrow that changes the whole world. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, and that's
You do
kind of
know
the
some of the things you
magic.
don't know too, though.
Well, yeah, that's that. It's not all the things that we know or don't know or whatever. I'm just gonna highlight this one because we launched the Europa Explorer already, and nobody sent me a memo. I'm excited, but I'm also slightly miffed. Yeah, that's amazing. The shit we're going to find on Europa. Like, we've deduced a bunch of things. Like with Pluto, we deduced a bunch of things before New Horizons got out there to go look. For instance, one thing we had no reason to expect, but we had hypotheses that predicted that we would find a blue atmosphere. And after New Horizons passed Pluto, it turned around. And it's one of the most famous space photography moments ever. That disk of Pluto with that thin ring of blue around the shadow. Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
The shit we find on Europa, the shit we think we'll find, will be cool. But the shit we don't even know to look for that we're going to find is going to be, my bet is squid monsters. I think there's going to be squid monsters in the depths.
Well, again, I'm a Star Trek fan, so we might find that whales are the advanced species of the galaxy.
or perhaps porpoises?
Yeah, could be
Very, very, very sinister ones.
Yeah. Well, we may find they're more sinister than the sinister ones we know of.
It's already been claimed.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, we are sadly just about out of time. As you know, I could go forever and ever, and it's always a huge pleasure chatting with you, Joe.
Yeah.
But Maya's going to get underway soon, and I'm contractually obligated to send the audience over there because Maya's channel is so close to 1,000. We're trying. Head over there, subscribe if you're on my channel. Absolutely. If you're watching on the Association of Skeptics and Humanists, Bad Science Sunday, Google it, or you'll find it. It's. I promise, it's the best. But before we have to run out of time, for anyone who doesn't know, somehow after 24 hours of streaming, where can people find you?
Yes, the torture ends now. If you want to find me, my channel's the Kentucky Atheist. That is also my Discord server. My email is theKentuckyAtheist@gmail. TJ, if you're wanting to talk to me, that's where you can reach me the best. But yeah, go over there and subscribe, hang out, come talk with us. Anybody for that matter. And the Kentucky Atheist, though, and definitely those subscribe to Bad Science Sunday, Maya Akison's channel that's coming up. Great channel, one of my favorite shows on all of YouTube.
Absolutely, yeah. We're a bunch of atheists hanging out with an actual fucking goddess, so we kind of have to do our devotions. It is Sunday. What do you have coming up on your channel? You have a bunch of regular shows, but I understand you've got some special editions coming up this week.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to David Fitzgerald tomorrow, a bit about history, mythology, and how Jesus and religion relate, and how kind of how we blurred the lines between mythology and history to come up with some of those things. And of course, I do a political show every week with Robin Webster. That'll be on Wednesday this week, Thursday next week, and and I'm on every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Hell yeah. Oh, so much good stuff. So much. And, you know, I love to see more voices in the community. I love to see you being more prolific, but everybody else too. It's so wonderful. And
I agree.
there's always so much more to say, but I see Maya is in fact live. So, and Robin's just arriving, which means it's time to end the show. We love you, Robin.
Hello, Robin.
yeah.
Good to say goodbye to you.
That's right. That's right. At least we got to say hello, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, adieu. I'm mangling things. No, don't mind me. I'm very tired and I have to get up very early. So, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for hanging out in the live chat with us. Thank you, Joe, for stopping by and doing the experiment with the stream, which has gone pretty damn well, I have to say. I'm grateful to everybody. I appreciate all of you. And as always, remember, you don't have to try to justify the genocide of fucking children as being holy and righteous. Comment about the chat there. Because you are better than religion. Good night.